Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first Google Hangout for the Big Ideas Toolkit. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes, so just hang on and we'll be right with you.
No camera.
And there we go. Okay, everybody should be able to hear us now. Welcome, everyone, to the first ever Big Ideas Toolkit Google Hangout. We're really happy to have people joining us. I think people will be tuning in to the live webcast as well as watching this on video recording. But wanted to first introduce ourselves. I'm Philip Denny. I work at UC Berkeley, and I manage the Big Ideas of Berkeley Student Innovation Competition.
And hi, I'm Jessica Necker. I'm a graduate student at Berkeley, and I've also been working with Philip for the past few years to help run the contest and do some evaluation work as well. And so really quickly, forgive me, I'm going to show you my computer screen to just explain the two ways that you can participate. So the link that you received in your email takes you to a page that looks like this. And if you click on this play button up here, you can watch the Hangout, or watch basically a webcast of the presentation that we're going to be giving. But you can also add your own audio and video feed to the Hangout. So Philip posted a link. There's a comment down here. And if you follow that link, you'll be able to add your audio and video feed and participate in real time. So something to mention is even if you're only watching, right underneath the video screen there's a box that says say something. So you can type in a comment or a question to us and we'll be sure to answer it. Just note that even if you're watching us live, there's about a minute delay depending on your internet streaming capability. So we'll answer it, but there might be a little bit of a delay.
Great. So the goals for this session, and also we want to encourage everybody to participate in this. So if you want to add your video and your audio and ask questions and engage in the conversation, please do. But the goals for this session are twofold, or actually threefold. First, we wanted to just give everyone an overview of the Big Ideas Toolkit, why we developed it, and what it consists of. We wanted to talk about our hopes for the toolkit and how this resource can be utilized by other universities, other organizations who are either starting their own competition or looking to enhance a competition that they already have running. And lastly, we really hope this can be a conversation to engage people along the lines of how you support student-led innovation, either at a university or through individual competitions that are held by external organizations outside of the university. But we really just want to get a conversation going, and we'd love to get any feedback that you might have on the toolkit that we've developed over the course of the past year and a half. So the Big Ideas Toolkit was really based upon our experiences managing the Big Ideas of Berkeley competition on the UC Berkeley campus. Over the past 7 years of managing this very large student innovation competition, we feel we've honed sort of what we feel is a strong model for inspiring early-stage, multidisciplinary, student-led innovation. The toolkit is really based and informed upon our lessons learned, some of the things we've done really well, some of the things that haven't gone as well. We think it's very honest. It really describes our proven contest management strategies along with best practices. We have tips throughout the toolkit on sort of the most useful things we've discovered. And we give honest reflections in the process of managing a student-led innovation competition. We don't profess to be experts on this topic. We know there's a number of other organizations that are focused on doing similar work. We want to engage with those organizations, engage with the other universities, and begin to talk to them about this. And we want to learn from them, and we want to inform the toolkit as we go along. The toolkit was developed to be a living, breathing document, and we constantly are doing iterations and reiterations of it. We just did one recently over the course of this summer. It was developed initially last summer, and it was really a vision that was catalyzed by a collaboration we now have with the U.S. Agency for International Development. They have a network called the Higher Education Solutions Network, which comprises 7 different campuses across the U.S. And in our conversations with them, we wanted to really take the lessons that we've learned and with Big Ideas and open source that material to other universities, especially those other 7 campuses that we're now collaborating with on the Big Ideas competition. So we wanted to thank USAID. We wanted to thank the Development Impact Lab at UC Berkeley, which is a key partner in Big Ideas. And we wanted to just now give you the overview of the toolkit. But before we dive straight into the toolkit, one of the things we want to do is give you a sort of a foundation about what is Big Ideas at Berkeley. What is this contest that we've been running on the Berkeley campus since 2006? And for that, I think what I'm going to do is screen share and take you to a presentation, if this all works. And again, the caveat is that this is our first Hangout, and hopefully we don't have technical difficulties, but if we do, please bear with us. Hyperspace, and to the presentation. So everybody should be able to look at our presentation now. Big Ideas, Inspiring Student Innovation. If you can't see this, or if you don't see it, please let us know on the Say Something stream, or just speak if you're on the video. Okay, so Big Ideas, Inspiring Student Innovation. What is Big Ideas? So Big Ideas is an annual contest aimed at providing funding, support, and encouragement to interdisciplinary teams of students, both graduates and undergraduates, who have big ideas to solve social challenges. Since its founding in 2006, the Big Ideas contest has inspired high-impact student-led projects aimed at solving problems that matter to this generation. By encouraging novel proposals and supporting concrete steps, Big Ideas is helping contest winners make an impact all over the world. So every year we have different categories in the Big Ideas contest. So it's all under the one big umbrella of the Big Ideas contest, but there's certain categories within it. As you can see, these were the categories we had last year, and they're very broad. And we do that intentionally. We want categories that span a wide range of topics to get students from different disciplines thinking about how they can get their ideas out there into the world. So for instance, last year we had creative expression for social justice. We had clean and sustainable energy alternatives. We had a category, or we're adding a category this year on global health. We have a category on improving student life. IT for society. Mobile literacy will be a new category this year. Open data, human rights, and then a last category, scaling up Big Ideas, which is a category for past winners of the Big Ideas contest who have made progress and want to come back and look for scaling up funding. Now, each one of these categories, we partner with a different center or organization which helps to fund and support and recruit judges and mentors and things like that. So each one of these categories has its own individual sponsor, and we can go over that later. But I also wanted to first give you a little bit of additional context by showing you a video that we put together about 2 years ago, which sort of highlights some of the students and some of the faculty that are participating in the Big Ideas contest.
What makes an idea big?
I think what makes an idea big is that it goes outside the normal boundaries.
I think what makes an idea big is its potential for its impact in the community.
It's novel, it's unique, it's challenging, it's exciting.
The Big Ideas program seed funds and encourages student innovation for a better planet.
Undergraduate students are rarely recognized as producing innovative, cutting-edge ideas?
You know, it doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of, you know, it doesn't take a 5-year PhD research project in order to do some of these things.
I heard about the Big Ideas program, and it was brought to our attention as a group, and we thought, hey, this would be a really great opportunity to kind of get the word out about our projects and see if we can get some support.
And it ends up being much more than a grant because it gives you that confidence to go forward. The fact that there's other people in the room and other people at Cal that are reviewing this and thinking, hey, you should go for this.
Having it was like one of the best things for our project. It really got us off the ground at a point where we needed that extra inspiration.
Yeah, knowing that the campus is supporting projects like this and that you have access to these resources has been very instrumental.
Just the fact that Big Ideas existed and seemed willing to fund a project like this gave us hope, because our budget for dental is actually like under $200 a semester. And we saved the residents of Berkeley like probably $50,000 to $100,000 just through the services we have.
Capitalize on the creativity of the students. Don't tell them the solution. Give them the opportunity and let them come up with creative ideas.
We should disabuse ourselves of the idea that all smarts are with the professors. Students are just as smart, they're just younger, that's all.
We created a business plan for Big Ideas. So it really gave us that push to really follow through on this and give up our investment banking and consulting offers that we had. And as soon as we got the news that we had gotten the grant, I think that's the first time we said, hey, let's give up what we're doing and let's follow our passion.
The power of the small grant is that it allows students to experiment earlier in their lives. They don't need to wait to complete a PhD and get a faculty appointment to try something new. I think that's very important. Otherwise, we waste a whole kind of generation just waiting for the credentials to do something they have some capacity to do earlier.
What makes an idea big?
I think what makes an idea big is that it goes outside normal boundaries, and it really kind of surpasses what was already there and sets a precedent for something new.
Okay, so hopefully the video gave you a sense of what Big Ideas is all about, but I'll go ahead and expand on it a little bit further because I think it's helpful to compare the Big Ideas contest to other traditional business plan competitions with which you might be a little bit more familiar. So one big difference, as Philip touched on earlier, is that the focus of Big Ideas is really to support projects that have social impact more than projects that are focused on generating a profit. So Philip outlined the categories, and you notice that the categories are about promoting human rights and social justice and reducing disparities in global health and things like that. So there's a huge focus on social impact. The other big difference is who participates in the contest. So the Big Ideas contest is really looks to draw students from across the campus, encourages multidisciplinary teams. And so that means that last year we had students enter the contest from over 80 different departments and majors across the campus. So we get a good representation of students from across majors and departments, whereas traditional business plan competitions tend to draw students from more business and engineering departments. And also the Big Ideas contest sees a huge representation from undergraduate students. So the contest is open to both undergrads and graduate students, as Philip mentioned. And this past year, 70% of the students who entered were undergraduate students. So we see a good representation from both groups, whereas traditional business plan competitions tend to pull mostly from graduate student pools. And then the last really big difference is that the Big Ideas contest is intentionally long. It spans the academic year. We start the contest in August, and the final events for the contest are in May. So students are participating for the entire academic year. And we make it long so that we can fill that year with lots of different resources. So we offer workshops and information sessions, a mentorship period, there are advising hours. We give judges a long time to judge so that they can provide lots of written feedback. So we try to build in as many resources and skill building opportunities as possible for students, and that's a huge focus for us. Whereas business plan competitions tend to have shorter contest cycles and tend to focus less on education and skill building than does the Big Ideas contest. Okay. And then the next thing I wanted to share is that the past couple of years we've been really trying to evaluate the impact of Big Ideas. So we know that one of our goals is to provide students with as many resources and skill building opportunities as possible, but we wanted to know, is that effective? Are students really learning as a result of participating in the contest? And so one of the focuses of our evaluation is on skill development, and here we just have a few statistics from our most recent data collection. And the data show that, by and large, students report huge increases in skill development over the course of the contest. So this past contest year, 100% of our finalists said that they became more creative in thinking about solutions to problems. 98% reported that they improved their ability to think critically about market or community needs. And 100%, all the finalists reported that they became better able to transform innovative ideas into useful application. They also report things, these aren't on the slide, but they report increases in their ability to develop budgets and effectively communicate their ideas in their proposals, things like that. So we think that they're developing these skills that we think are really essential for being successful in the contest, but also being successful after they leave the contest. And we've asked our past winners to what extent they feel like the contest was helpful to them once they've left. And our past winners, almost all of them, 96%, say that Big Ideas significantly and positively influenced their career trajectories. They felt increasingly committed to careers around social justice issues, for example, as a result of participating. And about a third of our past winners go on to win at least one additional award or business plan competition.
And this is a really important point that I think differentiates the Big Ideas competition, which is that it's equally important for us to have that transformation in the skill development within the student and having that experience for the student in addition to the impact. Those are two equally weighted parts for us, the impact of the project and the transformation that occurs with the student and the skill development within the student.
Right, and we think we see that both of these goals are being met. And in fact, to add to this last point about winners going on to win additional awards, we've recently estimated that our past winners have leveraged over $35 million in additional funding. So it seems like our winners are going on to implement their projects and garner additional funds for their projects. And one other thing that makes Big Ideas unique from other business plan competitions is that Big Ideas is really a prize competition for the idea. So students get the prize money for developing a creative, innovative idea that's aimed to address a social problem. And unlike a traditional business plan or grant competition, they aren't necessarily obligated to implement that idea. But what we find, and what this chart is explaining, is that what we find is that teams, even though they aren't obligated to implement their projects, they choose to, because by participating in the contest, they become committed to their idea, committed to the work that they're doing. So in 2012, we asked the winners from 2012, how many of you are still working on your project in some capacity, and 27 out of 28 of the winning teams are still working on their idea.
And we believe this is really sort of an outcome from having an academic year-long competition with all those resources. What you begin to build is a platform, a process where students who are committed, who have the passion, who have the energy, who have the drive, begin to self-identify over the course of that academic year, and their proposals rise to the top, so that when they do win the funding, like Jessica said, although they're not obligated to implement their project, they're very vested in their project, they're very committed and passionate about their project, and as you can see, most of them do go on to continue.
Right. And so like Philip said, we aren't experts, we don't claim to be experts, but we think that these data show that the contest is successful at helping students develop skills that we think are necessary to launch their ventures, and that they are vested and committed to their ideas and successful at implementing them.
Okay, so now that you have a little bit of background on Big Ideas, some of the things we've done to build the contest and to improve upon it, I want to share with you the toolkit that we've developed over the course of the past year and a half. As I mentioned, the toolkit was really designed to show how we manage a student-led innovation contest. These are our strategies. They're not to say, again, that these are always the proven strategies for every competition, but these are our proven contest management strategies, our lessons learned, and honest reflections about what's worked and what we had to improve upon, and sort of our goals and our mission for the Big Ideas contest. So the toolkit consists of several chapters. It starts with an introduction and an executive summary that highlights some of our conclusions. And then it goes into chapter by chapter the various components and structures that are in place for the Big Ideas competition. It covers things like the program management of Big Ideas, the staff we have on board to help us manage this academic year-long competitions, the roles of each person. It goes through issues like Big Ideas funding, how we go about securing sponsorships for categories, how we develop those categories to keep them intentionally broad and to encourage a lot of participation from different students across UC Berkeley and now other campuses. We talk about the contest structure and how we lay it out in terms of a timeline so that students can participate and get those support, those resources that they require to develop their ideas. It goes over the rules and requirements as well. We talk a lot about the resources that we have begun to add, and we are increasingly adding for students to help them develop their ideas, like those information sessions, the writing workshops, what we hope to get out of them, how we run them, the feedback we give to students. We talk about the mentorship and the judging processes, how we recruit judges, how we recruit mentors, how we pair mentors with teams. We give a lot of information on each of these sections. One section that's been getting a lot of we've been getting a lot of emails about, and I think has been very useful to folks, is the online contest platform section. This is where we've gone over all the different platforms that we've used to manage the Big Ideas contest over the past 6 years, the good and the bad of those platforms, and what we now know we need from various platforms to make them successful for our competition. So that's a really useful thing to think about as you're beginning to implement a competition. And we also talk about student outreach, how we reach out to students from different departments, the materials we use to reach out. And we cover prize awards, how much we give out to students, how we incentivize the competition. And lastly, the most recent component, which Jessica has been working on to a large extent, is our evaluation and feedback. How do we evaluate the impact of Big Ideas, the transformation that's occurring within the students, the skills and the resources that we're offering to students? That's all in the evaluation and feedback section. Now, in each of these chapters, we summarize our tips, and we also provide tools that are resources, documents that anyone can borrow from. This is all open source material for anybody to borrow from to help them look at their competition or start a new competition. We include things like, for instance, in the judging section, like the scorecards we use and we hand to judges to evaluate the proposals. The handbook which we use, we give to judges and we use to help them understand the competition and their role. The presentations that we give to judges, the handbooks, email reminders, invitations, pretty much anything you could ever imagine you would need for that section to help you run the competition. Now what I want to do, though, is actually take you into the toolkit and let you see sort of firsthand how it looks online. So to find the toolkit, what you need to do is go to bigideas.berkeley.edu. If you click on the About section, you can drop down to Big Ideas Toolkit right here. You can also find it just by going to bigideas.berkeley.edu/toolkit, and you'll be taken directly to it. Now this is the online version, and as you can see, the online version has all those same chapters that I just pointed out in the previous slide. All those sections are noted over here on the left-hand column. Now, if you wanted to find a printed version and print out a version to take on an airplane or some light reading wherever you're going, you can find that right here in the executive summary. You can download a PDF of the toolkit, a very pretty, visually appealing toolkit that we had one of our graphic designers work on recently. So that downloaded version of the toolkit is available right here. But as you can see, it lays out section by section all those different components, all those different mechanisms in the Big Ideas contest for you. I want to take you into the judging section, for instance. So let's click on that. So if you go into the judging section, what you'll see is we go over things like the judge qualifications. What are we looking for in a judge? The number of judges that we try and find for each category. For instance, in the Big Ideas contest, because we want extensive feedback, we try and not put too much of a burden on judges in terms of the number of proposals they read. We want them to have time to thoroughly read and evaluate each proposal and provide a lot of feedback to the students, because especially in the pre-proposal stage, students will take that information and incorporate it into their full proposal if they make it to the final round. We talk about how we train judges and the timeline that we give to judges. Again, we give them lots of time to judge so they can evaluate thoroughly. We talk about the criteria that judges use to look at the competition and to evaluate the proposals. We talk about judge recruitment. What do we look for when we're recruiting judges? How do we reach out? Who do we reach out to? And then we sort of wrap up each section, as I mentioned, with sort of tips, the big lessons learned in that chapter, in that category. And then we provide tools, judging scorecards, handbooks, presentations, emails. For instance, I'll show you the judging scorecard right here. So this is a scorecard that all the judges, now this would be on the online platform, but this is the Word version of it. But these are the questions we ask of judges. It's all right here for anybody to look at, to incorporate into their competition, or to start their own competition using these platforms, using these documents. So it's all right here, everything we've learned, everything we've used to run the competition.
As Philip is transitioning back, I'll just remind people that if you're watching the presentation from the link that you were sent in your email, you can comment or ask questions using the Say Something box that's just below that video box. Or there's a comment below that video box posted by the Big Ideas contest that includes a link, and by following that link you can add your audio and video feed to the Hangout so you can ask us questions live.
Okay. So one of the questions we're always asked, now that we've been running this competition for 7 years, is what are the big lessons learned? What are those key tips in the toolkit, if you had to have sort of the big takeaways from the toolkit that you can give to other people? One of those is to incentivize broad participation in a student innovation competition. You want to get students started early in their careers thinking about issues of how they can use their education for social impact. You want to allow them to take on challenges and take on risks earlier in their careers. For that reason, we incentivize broad participation by crafting the categories so that they are very broadly framed, that students can come in with a wide range of issues. You never know what type of idea can come out of a student's mind, so we have those categories intentionally broad. We want to create as many opportunities for skill development, feedback, and mentorship, and this is something that we've increased as the Big Ideas competition has grown. We've added additional resources. We've increased the mentorship period. We've allowed for feedback and skill development opportunities to students. That's really important to us, because what you do when you create that situation, when you allow more resources and you make them available to students, is you sort of level the playing field. What we heard initially when we began to run the Big Ideas contest was that undergraduates were intimidated by entering a competition against graduate students. They needed those additional resources to help them feel more confident and to sort of, again, level that playing field. And what we've seen is that as we've added those resources, as we've made this an academic year-long competition with those additional resources, we've really changed the dynamics. Previously, in 2010, we had 65% participation from graduate students. And just last year, we had 70% participation from undergraduate students. So I think having those resources available to the students levels the playing field and increases the confidence that they can compete. The other thing we've done along those lines is we've changed the judging rubric so that in the pre-proposal process, the ideas are really evaluated on the creativity and the innovativeness of the proposal. And once they pass that round, in the final proposal round, we really look at, are these sustainable, are these viable, are they potentially scalable projects that can be implemented? So that's how the final round is reviewed. So initially we're looking at innovation, and then we're looking at viability in the final round. We've also found that the impact on the student is as important as the impact of the project. most, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of competitions really focus on, what are these projects doing out there in the world now that we've given them funding? We want to see that, but we also want to see what is the student doing now that they've participated in the Big Ideas contest. How has it changed their trajectory? How has it transformed their career potentially? We know of students who have participated in a clean energy project who have gone on to have important roles in the clean tech sector. And we see that all the time with Big Ideas, and I think that transformation in the student is as important as the impact of the project in an idea competition like this. And lastly, supporting students after the contest cycle is obviously very important. So they have this $5,000 to $10,000 grant from the Big Ideas contest. It's not a grant, actually, it's an award. They have this award from the Big Ideas contest. Now that they've implemented their project, how can we support them to help them advance their project that's going out there into the real world? This is something we're continuing to expand and work upon with the Big Ideas contest, but it's something that all projects, they come back to us, they ask for these resources, and we're building that as we go along with the contest. So those are our key lessons learned. I would gladly open it up at this point to questions. My contact information, in case anybody wants to reach me, and I would love to engage everyone in conversation about this, is Philip Denny. bigideas@berkeley.edu is the email address you can reach us at. My phone number is there, 510-666-9120, or you can find us on the website as well. So with that, if anyone has any questions, I can happily take those now. I'll try and get back now to, there we go, and we should pop on the screen here in a second. So there are Jessica and I again. So if anybody has any questions, please ask them now. You have the social stream there as well on your, if you're viewing the webcast. And yeah, we appreciate everyone tuning into this Hangout. And any last words, Jessica?
No, I think that Philip's right. We really are encouraging conversation around the toolkit and wanting to hear people's ideas about how to make it useful. I'm just seeing a comment that popped up on the comments from Rachel Yancey from Georgetown University. She asked, can you give an example of a skill development opportunity that you might offer to students? Great question. So we do a number of things that we hope will develop skills in students. So as Philip said, it's a year-long competition. There are 2 rounds, the pre-proposal round in the fall and the full proposal round in the spring. And so during each round, we build in things like writing workshops where I will work with students on understanding how it is that they can effectively craft a proposal. So not just about generating an effective idea, but conveying that idea through writing to make their proposal effective. We offer advising hours where there are graduate student advisors who sit in this very office and invite students in, and we'll work with them on the ideation stage. And so we'll ask them about their project, answer questions they have, connect them with resources, connect them with people in our network, and try to help them with the idea development stage. We also have set up a mentorship program for students who go on to the final round of the contest, where we pair each team with a mentor who works with them over the course of 6 weeks or so to develop their full proposal, continue with the idea generation phase, and move, as Philip said, from having a creative idea with a lot of potential impact to a really viable idea.
One of the more recent resources we added just last year, and this was based off an idea we learned about from MIT, was an idea generation dinner. And this is an opportunity for students to come together who are competing in the Big Ideas contest during that pre-proposal round in the fall, where they each are given 2 minutes to pitch their idea, and then they're given another 2 minutes to get feedback from the audience on their idea. So it gives them both sort of the ability, the skill building opportunity to pitch, and also get some feedback on their project at the same time.
Right, and the last really important one that students say that they value the most actually is written feedback from the judges. So the judges, you can see in the scorecard if you go into the toolkit, we have questions from the judges that sort of help us rank and evaluate, and then we also have a set of questions at the end that ask things like, how can the students improve on their project ideas? What would make them more viable? What other organizations or networks would you connect them with? And the goal is to really pull from judges all the information that we can that would be useful to the students. And the students say every year that they are really grateful for the feedback from the judges. They'll have at least 3 or 4 judges reading their proposals and giving them that feedback, and they use that feedback every year.
And we also host a video competition at the end of the year, as well as a grand prize pitch day where some of the top teams come in. So these are additional opportunities for teams to learn how to craft a video, to express their project, or to pitch their projects one last time for sort of a grand prize in the Big Ideas contest. So lots of different resources, as well as we have events along the year with speakers, which allow for networking opportunities and hearing others talk about their experiences, developing their own social innovations.
And maybe it would be useful to talk about the resources that we provide after the contest as well.
Yeah,
we're working on, what we've heard from students is that the contest is fabulous to participate in, and they get a lot of support during the contest, but they also want some support afterwards. So we've been working, trying to listen to what students have to say, and working with some partners to figure out how to support students, you know, once it's May and once they have their award money, and how they can go on.
And for that, I'm going to take you to another slide, and I'm going to send you into hyperspace for 1 second here while I go back to our slides. So you should be back on our slides now. And we have, well, I'll show you 2 things actually. Allow. Number 1 is our contest timeline, and this will sort of show you some of those resources that we have throughout the year. We have our information sessions, our idea generation dinner, which I mentioned, which is the opportunity for students to come together, quickly pitch their idea, and get some instant feedback before the pre-proposal deadline. We have an event called Innovators at Cal, which we host in combination with some of the other challenges, innovation competitions on campus here at UC Berkeley, which brings together students who are like-minded, focused on entrepreneurship and innovation, together to hear a speaker talk about their experience, and then we spell it into a networking mixer where they can build teams, talk with one another, get feedback on their own ideas. We have workshops such as writing and budgeting workshops. We have an editing blitz. So these are all the types of resources that we offer basically just from September through November while students are developing that initial idea. And then, as Jessica mentioned, we've begun to build out our post-award resources to students who have either won the Big Ideas or simply competed in Big Ideas. What we didn't want to do was create another incubator. There are many of those in the Bay Area especially that are helping students, or not students, but helping entrepreneurs, I should say, further their ideas. But those are really for sort of ideas that are almost at that investor-ready stage. We're talking about big ideas that are at the earliest stage coming out of the Big Ideas competition. So what we've done is we've created a couple different things. We have this on-ramp virtual advisor. This is something that we're putting up on the website very soon, which will have additional resources where students can go to, or have additional resources where students can go and look for funding opportunities, where they can connect with other students, where they can learn about different competitions. We have what we're developing this fall, which is the Social Innovator On-Ramp, which is a 3-unit course which teaches students some of those key skills that they need to know along the way of developing their idea and implementing their idea, actually beyond just the ideation stage, but actually beginning to implement. It goes over pitch development and business plan development and things like that. We have a practitioners in residence program where we have people coming in from the outside world who hold office hours to talk about their experiences along different lines. We've had sessions on intellectual property, international development, and other aspects. And then we also have entered into a collaboration with Indiegogo, where we have a crowdfunding platform exclusively for Big Ideas past winners to go on there and begin to raise additional funding for their projects through a crowdfunding campaign. So those are some of the resources that we currently offer, but I think that's one area, quite frankly, that we want to continue to expand upon as the Big Ideas competition grows.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think we're always sort of hungry to think about how we can support our students better. So I encourage Rachel and everyone to look at that resources section in the toolkit and see what you think, and see if you have feedback for us, and any ideas about how you think we could better support students, or use some of the ideas that we've come up with as well.
Okay. Well, with that, if there's any other questions, please ask them now, or you can follow up by email again, bigideas@berkeley.edu. Thank you once again for attending our first live Google Hangout on the Big Ideas Toolkit. There will be one additional Hangout scheduled for August 12th if you'd like to get this information once again, or if you have further questions and you'd like to ask them then. So thank you very much for participating, and we look forward to hearing from you.